What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Unscripted Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Eduardo, and I'm here with my co-host, Edward. What is up, Edward?
Same old, not much.
For some reason, I don't know what it is. You don't have that same energy from these couple of weeks. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't know. You're not so happy and cheery, and not this week for some reason. I don't know. You tell me. You tell me.
I mean,
I don't know. For some reason, you're just not. It doesn't. You don't sound like yourself. What happened? You know. The Steelers played, right?
I think they did. Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get right to it. Before we get into that game, what is your takeaways from week 15? Was it week
Uh,
15? Yeah, week 15. Gee,
I
damn,
take
bro. Like it has gone. This NFL season has gone ruined by real quick. Um,
week 15. Ankle injuries are on the rise.
a lot
That's
of
been,
injuries, right?
I can say
A
that.
lot of injuries happen. Key. This is the worst time to get injuries from key players, especially with the playoffs coming in. But yeah, let's get right into it. Your Pittsburgh Steelers took on the Philadelphia Eagles in the Pennsylvania State Championship, as some people called it.
I mean, I
Um,
would. I mean, I would call it that if Pat Freiermuth catches a touchdown in Pennsylvania State, which is where he went to school. I can't really think of any other guys playing in Philadelphia who went to Penn State, but hey, look, the Penn State alum got in the end zone.
Matter of fact, there was
That's
actually one
cool.
guy. There's a one guy that went to Pitt that played for your former team.
Yeah, I didn't
Uh,
really. I think I might know who you're talking about, and they didn't get any playing time. I see what you're trying to do, and
I
it's not
don't
gonna
even think
work.
I don't even think the cameras even showed him, or I don't know if there was any
Oh, well,
after
you're
the
trying.
game post.
Well, you're trying to make a
No,
joke. Well, you're trying to make a joke because Justin Fields
no.
did a little slide, and I think the player in particular kind of had a play in college where he had that
Fake slide.
sort of similar slide, but we don't need to speak on that. Let's just
Yeah,
speak about the. Let's talk about the game.
all right, let's talk about this game. What happened to your Steelers? Obviously you guys were taking on a tough Philadelphia team that's been on a roll, what, 10 game winning streak as of right now? Yeah, 10 consecutive game. We already kind of knew what kind of offensively how they were gonna play this game. They knew they were gonna he was Jalen Hurts was gonna give AJ Brown the ball. Jalen AJ Brown was gonna have a big game because before that he was basically saying like what needed to be improved, and it was the passing. Basically, obviously receivers want the ball all the time, especially star receivers, and we kind of knew what he was gonna do. Let me see what was AJ Brown's stats. AJ Brown had 8 catches for 110 yards and 1 touchdown. Um, but yeah, just talk about what happened to your Steelers in this game.
So you're just trying to like make it a whole thing about like, oh yeah, last week we were all talking about, oh my God, have AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, are they having beef or are they having beef or there's something going on with them? But I see we saw what they did. AJ Brown scores the first touchdown. Him and Jalen Hurts they meet each other in the field, do their little kid and play dance.
They kind
Pretty
of had
much,
they basically it was already planned out that they were gonna if they were gonna score, most likely he was gonna score and then they were gonna celebrate. Just to
and
basic silence everybody saying like, hey, there's nothing going on here.
I mean, this is the world we live in, guys. Hey, they try to pretend like they don't hear the criticism, and then once the game ends, they pretty much told everybody to shut the hell up, and they did that. Final score was 27-13. Uh,
Offensively, you guys did not get it going this week. Obviously, you guys didn't have George Pickens for another week with the hamstring injury that he's dealing with, and it looks like he may not play against on Saturday against the Ravens divisional matchup for the division. Um, doesn't
I
sound like he's
mean,
going to be playing.
all I gotta say is, I mean, I saw the game. Philly pretty much won the time possession. we didn't really take advantage of our opportunities when we had them, and also I think the rest probably did had a specific kind of did have some effect on how this game was kind of playing out. I know Philadelphia, they got a big Italian community. Maybe Big Dom kind of took care of the referees and their families with a little something in their pocket. Why are you looking at me like that?
Now,
I'm
now
not
what?
gonna.
Now,
I'm not.
now, now,
I'm not.
what
I'm not
player are
gonna
you?
get can. I'm not gonna get
Not,
canceled for what
no,
I'm
no, but I'm
saying.
saying, what player are you talking about? What certain things that the refs that you felt like the refs kind of got wrong on certain calls?
Well, obviously it's the Battle of Pennsylvania. Both Pennsylvania teams are kind of they're going at it, and I know the Steelers in the first quarter they were kind of getting physical with the guys and kind of like imposing their manpower on them.
Hmm.
TJ Watt did get Jalen Hurts to fumble. Special teams got Cooper DeJean to fumble, and then a freaking brawl, a brawl starts kind of like going on the whole end zone.
Hmm.
But you see Darius Slay. Maybe they didn't catch it on the TV broadcast, but upon looking at it again, Darius Slay kind of throws a punch towards Darnell Washington, and
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure once you throw a punch that warrants an injection, but the rest thought otherwise. And then Jalen Carter, he kind of he puts his hand all up in
Now,
Connor Hayward's face.
now I
I think he was trying to
guess,
go for the face, but he actually like hits him on the
but
helmet, and the
I
cameras
guess,
caught
but
that. But
no, 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 I did see that he kind of smacked him right in the face. But I guess he was saying that there was he felt that the Steelers players there were doing that to him. So I guess act of, he was just frustrated from the game and just did that. And then obviously it's not the Eagles without any drama. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Carter were basically going at it on the sidelines, and then I guess the position coach was kind of just trying to have Nick Sirianni just back up. But there's always something happening in Philly, even if they win, man. They're winning 10 games in a row, and there's always got to be something like
I
something
mean,
that has to be talked about.
I'll give credit where credit's due. They were the better team that day.
No, they are the better team. I right now in the NFC. But yeah, man, offensive, you guys didn't go in. Najee only had 6 carries, 14 yards, and then
I
obviously
mean,
the crucial fumble that honestly I think at that point you guys could have had points if you guys would have either the field goal or you guys could have scored. It was just that crucial fumble from Najee that he had. Um, you know,
yeah, like we were like offensively we were gaining momentum, but it goes back to a point like we didn't take advantage of our opportunities. Like we were driving down the field, but Najee said he was looking at the hole, and I guess he took his eyes off the ball, and that's what caused the fumble. And also
mm,
during the broadcast, you can kind of see like not everybody's on the same page because Russ was checking to the play, and I think you could hear somebody on the Steelers offense say, "What's the can?" and just I kind of knew something bad was about to happen once that happened, but uh, the world isn't over yet. We're on to Baltimore. We already know what's at stake. They're coming into enemy territory, and
you guys have what
it's an North ball.
TJ Watt has an ankle injury, but I guess he may play. Most likely he will play. He's probably a player that he won't miss that game for anything. Even though you guys have what 4 games, 3 games in 4 days within 4 days span, or
You can
with a
say
week
that.
span, like a week span, right? You guys play Sunday, you guys play on Christmas Day, which is Wednesday, and then you guys play no, you guys play Sunday, Saturday, and then Christmas Day, which is Wednesday. So that's a tough schedule, but most likely TJ Watt's gonna be playing in that game. I think I also mentioned George Pickens probably won't play, right? If that's all reports are saying, like he's still dealing with the hamstring.
I mean, it's the next man up. I understand what we know what GP can do, but we're able to win a game without him, and we can still control
But
our own
the,
destiny.
but these are where like the players like Calvin Austin, Mike Williams, Van Jefferson, they definitely got to step up. Obviously, Freiermuth is always he's always gonna be reliable, especially with those big, massive hands that he got, especially on that touchdown. He got those. Well, he went to Penn State, right? Yeah, went Penn State, right?
Yeah,
Freiermuth.
but you can
And
see
this,
on the
but
there was one silver lining of everything, as you can see.
you
We're
guys
in the
placed in the
playoffs.
playoffs. You guys are in the
Didn't matter.
playoffs.
Didn't matter the outcome. I think once Miami lost, as you can see from my background,
But I mean, like I think I mentioned last episode, like this, if you guys were really gonna make a push to go to the Super Bowl, this is probably a team that you guys potentially face. But it's good, you know, it's a good, I guess, to see where you guys are at. Even though they're not in the AFC, it's good to see can we go against a really good team like the Eagles? And obviously, you guys
I
lost.
mean, yeah, that's why it goes back to my point of we're still 10-4. The world isn't ending yet. We
You
know
guys
what's
have a
going. We
tough next.
know what's at stake
You guys, like I said, you
next
got tough
week.
games. You guys, the Ravens, and then you guys have the Chiefs. So especially those two games specifically are very, very important to win. Mainly the Ravens, just because you guys clinched the division and you guys really would host a playoff game. Um, but then the Chiefs, that's another team that you guys potentially would see in the AFC, most likely with Mahomes. But who knows? Most like
Or
Mahomes,
Carson Wentz.
Mahomes is playing. But
I'm just
we'll
saying.
see.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
Carson. But yeah, I mean,
He's considered week to week. We don't know. I think he has a high ankle sprain
uh,
compared to TJ's low ankle sprain, and
yeah, but what is your ex? What are you expecting on Saturday against the Ravens? Obviously, they're coming from a win against a win. Who did they play? They played against
the
the
terrible New
Giants.
York Giants.
They played the Giants. Lamar threw for 5 touchdowns. What do you expect in the game? Very physical. I'm sure very low scoring because these games are usually low scoring.
AFC North ball. Anything can happen, and both teams know each other. Both teams knows at stake.
Hmm.
Expect a pretty physical game, and we'll be ready.
Right. All right then. Let's move on to the next game, which was more exciting than 4 o'clock. The 4 o'clock slate had really good games. The 1 o'clock, not so much, but the 4 o'clock had a
You're talking about
banger.
the Buffalo Detroit game.
Buffalo, Detroit, they had a banger in that one. A lot of points scored. Not that much defense played in that game. Um, Buff Detroit, Buffalo won this game. Detroit is dealing with more injuries than more than they can handle. They lost David Montgomery, Knuckles, as some people in Detroit like to call him Knuckles. They lost
The
Knuckles.
knuckle. He's the knuckles to Jameer Gibbs Sonic.
Yeah. But man, these lines, they have so much injury. They have McNeil and Davis potentially season-ending injuries. Dorsey out for the season. Wingo, defensive tackle, out with the knee. Malcolm Rodriguez knee, linebacker. Um, Anzalone forearm. They have Aiden Hutchinson, which potentially he could come back if they make like as far a run, but that's who knows with that. Obviously Montgomery. They have a lot of defensive players out, like a lot of them, and it's always been next man up. And this is it. Kind of sucks for Lions fans because this is probably the best team they've had, and they're dealing with so much injuries in the worst timing right now. But they put up a lot of points, 42 points. You know, Tege was the Bills defense. The Bills defense have given up a lot of points. You see it what they did against the Rams. But what is your takeaway from this game?
Uh, Takeaways that these are both. I mean, you got the hottest team in the AFC versus the hottest team in the NFC,
Mhm.
and I kind of knew it was going to be a shootout. Detroit, their record is still 12-2. The Bills pretty much ended their was it a 9 or 10 game winning streak they're on.
Probably like 10, I think.
But I mean, what we seen with Buffalo is we pretty much. I think we can pretty much say Josh Allen's probably going to win the MVP this year.
Yeah, he solidified his MVP candidacy. He
But
threw for 362, 2 touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. So he's been balling
yeah,
consecutive.
but what you said about the Detroit Lions, I see what you're saying about their defense, kind of all the injuries they have on defense. But in back-to-back weeks, we've seen that their offense is still what's going to keep them in games. And I know Dan Campbell kind of kind of raised some eyebrows with some of his decision making, especially with that onside kick in the fourth quarter. But with that offense, that'll still keep them in games. So even if they get into the playoffs, I'm still certain their offense will still they still have something on offense. It's just like whoever they play and like what are their defenses looking like. That might be a big question mark, but I still think the Detroit Lions. I know the David Montgomery injury kind of maybe had
It
some
kind of
people like
affects them.
kind of had some people raise some eyebrows, but I still think the Detroit Lions could probably like find a way to figure things out.
Yeah, obviously, like I said, offensively, they have a lot of offensive weapons, and you know, Dan Campbell is always like next man up. So we'll definitely see what happens. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs still, Jameson Williams, Tim Patrick has been a has really stepped up for their offensively for them.
I
Maybe
might
Dan
even know
Skip.
who he was before the last two games.
I
He's
think he played
been
for the Broncos. I think he played for the Broncos, if I'm not mistaken. You know, Dan Skipper, he can potentially hit, that tight end role, another tight end. But
yeah,
yeah,
MCDC is always going to have a lineman in the red
but
zone.
but man, MCDC, that's who he is. He's gonna go for certain things. People may not agree with it. The onside kick, um, with like 12 minutes in the third quarter. But you know what? That's one thing I don't like, man, with this new rule. Like you can't have a surprise onside kick. You have to basically declare that you do an offside kick, and it just kind of ruins like the surprise and stuff. An onside kick is already difficult enough to successfully, you know,
Execute.
get an offside kick executed, but now you have to declare it. Now you're telling the team to that you're gonna do it, and they're more prepared. I think the NFL has to do something better. They have to go back to the old ways where like surprise onside kick or something like that. Just like
I mean, I didn't know that was a thing. It's kind of like going back to I think we like talked about this maybe like months ago about the league trying to get rid of the tush push when it's just a standard play. But
But
when a play,
everybody's doing it. You see Josh Allen, he's doing it.
it's like when a play works to a certain team's advantage. I don't know why the NFL feels like that to police that. It's kind of stupid if you ask me. But
But you see now teams with especially with big quarterbacks, like Chargers do it with Justin Herbert. Josh Allen obviously does it. Jalen Hurts does it. So a lot of teams that do it and successfully do it. Tom Brady over even when he was playing, he was doing quarterback sneaks. It wasn't tush push, but he was doing quarterback sneaks. So I
yeah, that's what
mean,
I'm saying. Like I think because Philly went to the Super Bowl and like that play just it brought it to a bigger stage. Now teams are looking at it as like a competitive advantage. Maybe it's Philly's fault. Who knows? But it's a standard quarterback sneak. Like it works at every level. I don't understand why. I just don't understand why when a team has so much success doing that one play, the NFL has to like try to outlaw it or to like do something just for like it's competition. It's
yeah,
every team needs a competitive advantage. Like at the end of the day, you're trying to win, right?
yeah. Right now, let's talk about the playoff picture right now. Let's talk about in the AFC right now. Um, the Chiefs right now holding the number one seed and a first round bye. They're 13-1 with Mahomes. Who knows what his injury? What is it? High ankle sprain, right? He came out of there in Carson Wentz. He came in, finished the game off. I don't know how you feeling. Would you rather play against Mahomes or Carson Wentz? Because you don't know what Carson Wentz. At least with Mahomes, you're knowing what you're dealing with. Carson Wentz, he he'll surprise you. He'll break both
I mean,
ankles. He'll
we
both
talk
play.
about we talk about Carson Wentz in the way we're talking about him because of what we've seen with Carson Wentz. He was a former Eagle. He was a former Colt.
Yeah,
Sometimes
he
he'll
may
play to
surprise
wow you. Sometimes his plays will make you laugh.
We'll see. Right now they hold the number one seed. The Bills are right behind them. Your Steelers are still third and the third right now, holding the third seed with the Texans right behind you. They've just clinched the AFC South. I don't know how many years it's been they've clinched it. And in the hunt they have the Ravens, the Broncos, and then the Chargers, who lost yesterday. They got blown out by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay has been playing really good football lately. They got Mike
You beat,
Mike
you beat me to it. You were going to ask me about why my team lost. I was going to say what happened to the number one defense and how they let Mike
the,
Evans just
hey
do whatever he
hey
want and
hey
score 40 on him.
the Chargers played. They played good. When I was watching the game, they were playing really good in the first half. The first quarter and the second quarter, they were playing really good. Just Baker's just been slinging, shaking bake. He just been slinging the ball. McMillan. the rookie from Washington. That's another really good wide receiver they had. Obviously Washington had so many receivers on Dunze, McMillan. I forgot another receiver they had. He got drafted too. On Dunze, McMillan. They had like three receivers getting drafted. I forgot who it was.
Yeah, and I'm forgetting that. I'm blank. I know there was one more receiver. I'm just blanking out. I remember that
Yeah,
championship
but
game.
But yeah, they've been stepping up lately. The Buccaneers, they are a very tough team to play against in the playoffs. So any team going against them would be very difficult. Like I said, the Chargers, most likely they'll make the playoffs right now. They're holding the last wild card seed with the Colts right behind them. They lost. They're 6-8. Dolphins are 6-8. They lost also. The Bengals, they won. And kind of a lot of penalties happen right now in that game. Joe Burrow's balling out. They beat the Titans. Will Levis threw three interceptions, but that's Will Levis football.
It's
Um,
just yeah. There's so many. It's so weird how like football is so up and down, but like still teams can still find their way in, and not everybody's the records don't really show like what they're going on,
yeah,
like what's going on right now.
like the Bengals are balling, but their possibility for making the playoffs is 6%. The Colts
This
they dropped the
I think the
Colts dropped that.
Seahawks had the lead in the NFC West. They lost. Now the Rams. Now
Yeah.
the Rams are number one in the NFC West, and
So as of
pretty
right
sure they fell
now,
asleep. But the Seahawks are
yeah,
playing at home on Sunday night, but it looked like a Packers home game.
yeah. Right now the Bills will take on the Chargers, which would be an interesting game. Um, the Steelers would take on the Broncos. That would be a very interesting game. Two very good defense. The Denver's defense is really good. Um, I would love to see how Bo Nix would match up against that defense.
or
Um,
how, or maybe how Russell Wilson finally get a chance to maybe stick it to the team that
that could be
did
another
him dirty.
storyline. That could be another storyline. Like
They
that
didn't play in week two, but he was injured and couldn't play. But
that's a good story. That would be a really good story. So that 6 and 7 seed would kind of determine on Thursday because the Chargers take on the Broncos. So that would basically, I think if the Chargers win, they clinch they a playoff berth. I think both of them would clinch a playoff berth. The Ravens, obviously, they would take on the Texans as of right now. But we'll see. The division still up for grabs. Now for the NFC, there's four available playoff spots. The Lions have the number one seed as of right now. Eagles are right behind them. The Vikings can, I believe, get the number one seed if they win tonight against the Bears, which I think they're winning right now. They're 11-2. People are sleeping on the Vikings. They are
I think they already clinched a playoff spot
no, but the
because
division. I'm talking about the for number
oh,
one
yeah,
seed. Yeah. But people are sleeping on the Vikings. The Vikings have been really good. Obviously, they have Sam Darnold now. The question is whether they keep him or stick with JJ McCarthy. But they're
they're playing
very,
right now. I saw Justin Jefferson got in the end zone. Good for any betters who might have
he's
parlays. But
uh,
I
yeah,
saw what he did as a kind of paid tribute to fellow Viking great Randy Moss.
Eddie Moss. He's cancer free, right?
He's
If
a
I'm not
beast, Randy
mistaken.
Moss. Where
Yeah,
we're all hoping you
yeah,
fight this fight.
yeah. But Vikings have Jordan Addison, which he's been balling out lately. Um, who they got? Hawkinson. Then he got the tight end, Justin Jefferson. Aaron Jones, Cam Akers. People forget that Cam Akers is there. But Sam
Mm-hmm.
Darnold has been slinging it. Um, and then you have the Bucks, which I mentioned. The Rams have been playing really well. They beat the Niners on Thursday night, right?
I think we all knocked out, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no touchdowns were scored.
A lot of touchdowns. Puka Nacua, Cooper Cup, which Cooper Cup did not get anything, and he's on my fantasy team. He has 0 points, but somehow Cooper Cup had more points than Will Levis, and Will Levis and Cooper Cup had zero. So that tells you how Will Levis played on Sunday. The Packers, the NFC North is a very, very tough division right now because the Packers are 10-4. The Vikings, which I mentioned 11-2, and the Lions are also um 12-2. And then the last year are the Commanders, which they won in a hey, the few minutes of that game was kind of weird. I I I don't know if the NFL has something to do with it, but that's for another day.
I
You
mean, like
know,
I said,
let's just
maybe some referees got some sports book money. You never know.
yeah, because I was looking at the time clock and then for some reason it stopped. and for like a few seconds or two, and they was they were able to stop it. But the Commanders won. They're 9-5 right now. They're
Currently,
82%.
yep, 82% make the playoffs. I knew the team, the Commanders team. I know they probably like surprised a lot of people, but I don't think they're surprising to the point where they're actually in playoff contention.
Yeah, it's just they cannot lose certain games. I know they have the Eagles, which is on Sunday. They have they have the Falcons after that, and then they finish it off. I think with the Cowboys. The Cowboys, do they?
I
I think
think
if
so.
I think they finished off with the Cowboys. So there's if they lose against the Eagles, it's a must win against the Falcons and Cowboys. The Cowboys somehow, I mean, they have 1% chance of making it. The 49ers, man, like they're basically 1% chance of making the playoffs. The Falcons, it's a must win. If they win tonight, they have a 35% chance of making it. The Cardinals are 7-7. They have 14% chance making it. Um, the Seahawks, they're up and down. Who knows if Geno Smith will play next game or is it Sam Howell, the ex-commander? Um, but yeah, like you mentioned, that stadium
I mean, we saw
it
Sam
hasn't been
Howell play. We kind of saw why he was a fifth round pick, but
North Carolina quarterback. It's a lot of North
uh,
Carolina quarterbacks, you know, getting picked. So we'll see with Bill Belichick in North Carolina. But yeah, man, any last thoughts on week 15? We're down the stretch right now. We have, a lot of good football. We have Christmas Day football. I don't know. There's, basketball, NBA used to be Christmas Day, but now I don't know.
mm,
I'm leaning more to football, watching Christmas Day football. There's a lot of good games. First day on
the
Netflix.
NBA, they're still the NBA will have their time. Just
Football taking over, man.
certain months, football is just like dominant. NBA, it always starts in October and just like takes a while for them to pick up the pace. But
Yeah, NBA starts like after the Super Bowl. So that's when I'll start paying attention to the NBA. But yeah, man, there's a lot of good football more to come. And then we have Super Wild Card weekend right after that. After the end of the season, then we have the college playoff starting on Saturday. So, the 12 team playoff. It's a lot of football. Football just takes over right now. But yeah, man, we'll be back with another episode next week. Till then, peace.
Oregon's taking the chip. Peace.
Who Oregon? Oh yeah, the Oregon Ducks are taking the national championship. I'll put my money on that. Till then, peace.